I Have a Bad Feeling About This by Jeff Strand. Chapter 29. Vincent Fulmer Dansky, Glenn Hatchetman Thielbar, Quentin Shredder Henson, and Carl Die Moore drove through the dirt road in a black van.
"We'd better get ready to kill some kids," said Fulmer. "Last time we didn't. That maddened me."
He cackled with laughter for no reason except that sometimes Fulmer liked to cackle with laughter. "Shut up," said Hatchetman. He was talking to Shredder, not Fulmer. Hatchetman liked to tell people to shut up who weren't talking.
"I'm just saying I bought my best knife, and I don't get to kill anybody with it. I'm going to be..."
"Shut up," said Hatchetman, this time talking to Fulmer. "Mr. Grant said that the situation will probably be resolved before we get there. We're just emergency backup."
Yeah, whatever."
Fulmer picked out his gums with one of his knives.
"How much longer?"
Die, who was driving, didn't answer because he was distracted by the sight of a teenage boy running across the road, maybe 100 feet up ahead. He slammed on the brakes.
"I don't think it's resolved yet,"
he said. The boy, a skinny little nerd, looked over at the van. He stood there looking back and forth between the forest and the van, as if unsure whether to run for them or approach the vehicle. Die opened the door and got out, hoping that the nerd couldn't see his tarantula tattoos from over there.
"Hey, kid, you need any help?"
The nerd hesitated, still unsure, and then ran off into the woods.
"Hatchetman, Shredder, you two go after him. We'll keep driving to the destination."
Hatchetman nodded and slid open the side door of the van. He and Shredder got out and hurried down the road.
"Hey, come back," Hatchetman shouted. "We're not going to hurt..." "Yikes!"
It was the only time in his life that Hatchetman had actually said the word yikes. In any other circumstance, he would have been prepared for relentless teasing from his associates. However, right now he felt that they all understood how he was feeling, since there was a gigantic bear running down the road toward them. Hatchetman and Shredder each fired off 2 ineffective shots and then ran back for the van, screaming. Die, who was not a man who placed great value in loyalty, had already put the van in reverse and was speeding away. But he couldn't get back around the corner without slowing down, so Hatchetman and Shredder were able to get back into the vehicle and slam the door closed.
"Forget this," said Die. "Grin didn't say anything about bears. He can deal with this himself. Everybody agree?"
Everybody except Hatchetman agreed, but he always liked to disagree just to cause conflict. The reinforcements drove away. "You're a terrible person," said Eric. Henry nodded. "I know." "You're the worst person I know, and the worst person I've ever met. And if anybody tries to say that you're some kind of hero because of this, I'm going to set them straight," said Eric. Fair enough. Mr. Grant, Ethan, and Chad were tied up and being held at gunpoint by Randy. Monica had done the actual tying of knots, so they didn't have to worry about any of them freeing themselves. All 3 of the bad guys had cell phones, so they sent Jackie off in search of a signal. He'd come back half an hour later, saying that the police were on their way. Henry did the best job he could on Eric's wounds. He regained consciousness, angrily, after Henry applied the antiseptic and had remained in a foul mood ever since. However, it was clear that he wasn't going to bleed to death, and Henry felt that he could eventually convince him that girls were really into guys who'd been shot through the arm with arrows. Stu returned to camp out of breath and hid in the barracks until the others were able to convince him that if a bear had been following him, it at least was not doing so any longer. "Nice job," Monica told Henry. "Not all of it, but most of it. I'm impressed." "Thanks," he said. He sat in silence for a moment. Henry felt that this was the opportunity to say something important, but could he handle the rejection? Sure, why not? He almost got killed today, so having his heart crushed would be nothing. "So, Monica." "Yes?" "Do you want to do something sometime?" "Are you asking me out?" "Yeah, I mean, not if you already have a boyfriend. I'm not trying to horn in on Bobby's actions or anything." "Bobby?" Bobby. I saw the text where he said he misses you. Is he your boyfriend?" "No." "Seriously?" "Ex-boyfriend. He's having trouble with the ex part, but we're not together." "Is this something that you're heartbroken over?" "Not anymore." "So did you want to do something sometime?" "You know that we live in different cities, right?" "Yeah." "And that you're not my usual type?" "I figured." "And that you've caused me a huge amount of trouble since we met, including but not limited to an injured shoulder and people trying to kill me?" "If you go out with me, I promise that nobody will try to kill you on our first date, said Henry, hoping that he wasn't lying when he said that. It's very romantic. Thanks. How about we just kiss and take it from there? I am completely okay with that. And they kissed. Then they smiled at each other and kissed again, and the fireworks in Henry's mind were so vivid and glorious that they drowned out the sound of Eric repeatedly telling him he was a complete jerk. Special addendum to the new book version of the movie version of the book. Henry sits in the theater, large popcorn in his lap, Monica to his left, Randy to his right. Stu and Jackie, now purple-haired, and Eric, who has almost but not quite gone over his rage, also sit in the row with him. Henry's parents are in the theater, but they sit a few rows back so as not to cramp his sweet style.
We need to work together,
said Henry, though this is the Henry on screen and not the real Henry. He has a low, gravelly voice and is played by a 23-year-old actor. On screen, Henry tosses machine guns to the Hollywood counterparts of Randy, Jackie, Monica, and Peter. Eric and Stu have been combined into one character for the movie.
We're not going to let them push us around anymore. We've all been saying that we have a bad feeling about this, and I agree. We have a bad feeling about this because of what's going to happen to them.
Everybody raises their machine guns in unison.
They killed Max, and they killed Frank, and they killed Hector, and yes, they even killed Mr. Winkhurst's son. But they aren't going to kill us.
A gunshot rings out. Peter clutches at his chest, gives a heart-rending 6-minute soliloquy that will get him nominated for a People's Choice Awards, and then dies. Mr. Grant, Ethan, Chad, and 13 other assassins leap out of the forest, their own machine guns blasting. 17 minutes of non-stop actions follow, with computer-generated blood spraying everywhere. Monica, the real one, snuggles closer to Henry as the on-screen Henry throws a boomerang at Ethan. Ethan drops to the ground, neck broken, as the boomerang returns to Henry's hands. There are a lot of explosions. Henry leaps onto a motorcycle and then starts the engine. Monica leaps on behind him, facing backwards so that she can take out more assassins with her machete. As they race down the dirt road, the assassins on their own motorcycles drive up beside them, swinging their maces and wrenches at them. But they are no match for Monica's machete. Henry spins the motorcycle around, tires squealing, and then races back toward camp. What are you doing? Asked Monica. Safety is on the other direction.
There will be no safety while those bad men still live,
Henry tells her. The real Henry doesn't think that they'd be able to hear each other over the roar of a motorcycle motor, but that's no big deal. This is the movies. As Henry speeds down the road, he is joined by Randy and Jackie, also on motorcycles. How they got behind him is not entirely clear. Henry hopes that after the premiere, they'll tighten some of the editing. Mr. Grant and his few remaining assassins are also on motorcycles, speeding right toward them. Movie Henry slams his fist down on the turbo button and his motorcycle shoots forward. Real Henry likes to believe that had motorcycles been available to him at that particular time, he would have done the same thing. In super slow motion, Henry's motorcycle collides with Mr. Grant's. Yes, it is somewhat reckless of Henry to do this when he has a passenger, but no doubt, Monica can handle herself in a 120-mile-per-hour head-on motorcycle collision. The three of them are catapulted into the air by the force of the crash. The motorcycles explode beneath them. Henry thinks it would be seriously cool if the movie counterparts had an extended fight sequence on the way down, but that isn't the kind of reality-based entertainment this motion picture is about. They hit the ground first and then begin their extended fight sequence.
You killed my mentor, Henry yells, but you won't kill anybody else.
He punches Mr. Grant in the face 3 times, a bucket of blood splashing with each blow. Randy leans over to Henry and whispers, I thought this was supposed to be PG. What are you talking about? Henry whispers back. This has said the F word about 2,000 times. Oh yeah, sorry. They go back to watching the movie. In the exciting finale, Henry and Mr. Grant battle each other with their bare hands, delivering more punishment than anybody who isn't a character in an action movie could possibly take, till Henry finally grabs Mr. Grant's nose and gives it a devastating twist. Hey, that's a bunch of garbage, Jackie says, standing up. I'm the one who did that. His mom tugs him back down into his seat. Henry gives Mr. Grant's nose one final twist, and it comes off. Mr. Grant howls in pain, dousing Henry in red, and finally drops to the ground, dead. Monica throws her arms around Henry, clearly not worried about getting bloodstains all over her clothes.
I don't know about you, says Henry, but I have a good feeling about these.
I do too, says Monica. A very good feeling. They kiss. On the movie screen, the picture fades to black, followed by these words. Dedicated to the memory of Max, you read The Wind Beneath Our Wings. As the lights come up and the audience gives a standing ovation, Henry puts his arms around Monica and kisses her like the action hero who he always knew he could be. Henry stands in front of 30 campers. Okay, everybody, welcome to Strongwood Survival Camp under new ownership. If you've seen the movie, you saw what it did for me, and now I'm going to do the same for you. That's right, said Randy wearing a camouflage shirt. Don't think this is going to be an easy 2 weeks for you. We will test your skills like they've never been tested before. But it will be fun, too, says Monica, also wearing a camouflage shirt. Before we begin, are there any questions? One of the campers raises his hand.
Does this camp have an arcade?
Henry, Randy, and Monica exchange a wary look. This is going to be a long 2 weeks.